my pleasure to introduce our speaker for this morning, Melissa Porter from Wesbury. She's going to talk about affordable housing options for seniors in Crawford County. So, here she is.
Hey. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for having me back and for coming out on a beautiful day to listen. I appreciate an audience. I handed out a handout to many of you. If you did not get it, I'm going to lay it on the table here. So if you're coming in and you didn't get one, please step up front and pick up a handout. And I'm here to talk about senior housing options in our region today, and also what care exists in our region and what it means, because we're getting more and more choices, but that also makes it a little more confusing over time. So thanks for having me out, and thanks for coming out on such a beautiful day to listen. So you've likely all heard that Wesbury has purchased the Days Inn here in Meadville with the intention of turning that into apartment living. Everybody has heard that? So as we get through this conversation, I'm going to talk more about what we're doing there and why. There's also other options coming to our area in Conneaut Lake, possibly in Cochranton in the future, and then also another company coming into Meadville. So I thought it was a good time to talk to you a little bit about what's out there and what the differences are, and if you should end up deciding that you're interested in something, you would have a better understanding of what your choices look like. So deciding if and when we want to move is different for everybody. Ideas range from, okay, I'm retired now, I want to be independent, I want to travel, I want to golf, I don't want to take care of a house. Some people think I want to downsize to a smaller home or an apartment or a condo. Other people say, I love my home, I've been here 40, 50 years, and I'm not leaving unless I'm in a pine box. How many of you have said that? So, as much as that sounds preferable to some people, according to the Stanford School of Medicine, studies show that approximately 80% of Americans might prefer to stay in their home through the rest of their life. However, 60% do end up in acute care hospitals, 20% in nursing homes. So only 20% of us get that luxury of staying in our home till the end of life, according to these statistics. Now, the good news is we're not here to talk about doom and gloom today, okay? So that's as ugly as it's going to get. But it is wise to not put our head in the sand about the reality that at some point your current home may not meet your needs, or you might need some sort of care, or your spouse or your loved ones might need some sort of care. So since that is the reality that we should be aware of, I thought that I would kind of tick down through the different, I'll call them care levels that exist in our region and what they're for and how you pay for them. And then we'll get to these new opportunities that are coming into the area. It used to be if you needed nursing care, you could no longer care for yourself in your home. You went to a nursing home. And you still do, but that used to be the only option. And many of you may remember, particularly your grandparents' generation, where these were not such pleasant places in most people's minds. They were very institutional. I'm sure they did their best to provide good care, but we weren't focused on making it home-like. We weren't focused on activities, and it just has become a very different thing today. Today, when you go to nursing home environments, yes, people are still in need of care, whether that be physical or mentally supported. But there's a lot more going on. They try to make them brighter, cheerier, more home-like. We really focus on, a clean smelling environment, a clean appearing environment, and having all kinds of what they call life enrichment activities. So trying to make sure that no matter where you're at in life, things can still be engaging. And just to give you an example of that, Wesbury's Life Enrichment Department takes even their nursing home folks that you think can't go do anything anymore. They get to go to the fair, they get to go to the zoo, they might go on a fishing outing. A group of our area nursing facilities actually join together each summer, and they all bring out residents who might like to go fishing or sit along the lake while others go fishing. So they really do a good job of trying to make these environments as pleasant and positive as possible. And also, you think about it, if you're really not well and you're isolated in your home, getting amongst other people, having activities, having someone to dine with can really be a welcome change. And it's important to understand, okay, how is this paid for? People always hear it's very expensive. You have to pay out of your own pocket for nursing home facilities in our region, meaning if you have money to pay that bill, you have to use your money to pay that bill. But if you run out of money, or maybe you're already low income when you enter the nursing environment, Medicaid is accepted by all of the nursing facilities around us. So Rolling Fields, Acera Care, Crawford County Care, and Meadville, Wesbury's facility. We all offer Medicaid, which is financial aid. So if you ever need nursing home care or your loved one does, there is financial aid available. Now the next step to that is rehabilitation. How many of you know somebody that went into a nursing home for rehabilitation? Lots of you. And that person probably came out hopefully feeling better and got back to life on a more independent level, I hope. That is our goal. So if I just want to give you this disclaimer that if you have the fear of going into a nursing home environment, maybe you've had a bad illness, maybe you've broken a hip or had some sort of a repair done, and your doctor says to you, okay, we're done with you here at the hospital, but you need to check into a nursing facility to continue to get well. Don't be afraid of this. This is common today. In fact, at Wesbury, 60% of our admissions in the past year came in for rehabilitation. That's more than half. And most of them get well and go back to a more independent setting. That might be their home, that might be an assisted living, but they're not remaining in nursing home care. So don't think if your doctor says to you, you're going to have to go to Wesbury for rehabilitation, that they're trying to sneak you in and put you away permanently, okay? That's not the case. This is a common practice now to help you get well and get back to your independence level that you had prior to your illness or your fracture. Now this is typically covered by your Medicare. So your Medicare, there are parameters. I'm not going to go into all that because it's kind of deep. But the bottom line is, if you have been in the hospital, you've stayed the appropriate amount of time, the doctor's recommending you need therapy, and you go into a therapy setting, typically your Medicare picks that up. Okay, so Medicaid is financial aid. Medicare is like your insurance. It cares for you to get well. And some of you may have a supplemental insurance, and that often picks up anything that Medicare doesn't. Okay, so moving down the line here. Another option that exists now that you may not have heard of is a care cottage. How many of you have heard the term care cottage? Only one or two. Okay, I'm going to explain this to you. So some brilliant person in recent years had the idea that if they purchased ranch-style homes are ideal because they're all one level. They typically have 3 bedrooms. They typically have 2 bathrooms. Somebody had the brilliant idea that 3 residents could each live in their own private room. They would share the house, and if each of them could cover 8 hours of in-home care, that would give that environment a 24-hour care situation, okay? So this is really great for low-income folks who qualify for the Pennsylvania Waiver Program, which is a financial aid program, and here at Active Aging they can tell you more about that. If you financially qualify and you physically qualify, you can get up to 8 hours a day of Pennsylvania waiver dollars. So if you decide that you find that you need to be in a nursing environment, but you don't want to, and you can't afford maybe in-home care, because we'll talk about that in a minute, that's a good option too, but it can be expensive. If you qualify for 8 hours of PA waiver, now you're just paying rent to be in the home, and that's based on your income. You're living with 2 other people, there's 24-hour care in the home, and your Pennsylvania waiver dollars cover 8 hours of it, and your neighbors cover 8 hours of it. So all told, there's 24-hour care in the environment. Wesbury has jumped on this bandwagon too, and we have now 4 care cottages in Meadville. We have 1 in Cochranton, and we have 2 in Titusville. And there's other companies that do this. It's a growing concept, and honestly, I think we are all finding that we can fill them as fast as we can buy them. So while this is working well in our region, it's a great opportunity for folks that want to remain in a house-type setting, but they do need 24-hour care.
And you're not alone.
And they're not alone, exactly right. They have the opportunity to share day-to-day living with other people. Yeah, being alone can really be a negative physically and mentally for people. So sometimes folks don't need to be in a 24-hour nursing environment. but they really don't safely live alone anymore. Maybe they're falling frequently, maybe they're just not managing their medications well, maybe they're just overwhelmed by trying to keep up with the bills and the taxes and the maintenance and all the stuff related. Maybe they don't drive anymore, so getting out to buy groceries is difficult, getting out to get prescriptions is difficult. Sometimes folks choose a personal care environment. So you have nursing homes, you have rehabilitation, you have care cottages. Those are for 24-hour care settings, but some people don't need all that. They just need a little bit of help. So you have in our region only two options. Right here in Meadville is Juniper Village, and then also Wesbury's Cribs Residential Center. We have two personal care homes in Meadville. Now there are more in the region. There are some in Erie County. Down in Titusville, there's a place called Southwoods. There's another called Country Acres, I believe. And then if we go toward Greenville, we have St. Paul's, which has a wonderful reputation too. So we do have options outside of Meadville, but in Meadville we only have two, and that's Wesbury and Juniper. And in these environments, you do have to be able to pay out of pocket. So different from the 24-hour care situations where there's some financial aid available. If you are going into personal care, you do have to be able to afford your daily rate, your monthly bill. The exception to that is if you're a veteran and you have served during wartime, or you're the spouse of a veteran who served during wartime, you might be eligible for some financial support. You do have to meet some financial requirements. You do also have to meet some physical need requirements for that. But otherwise, if you're not a veteran, you're not the spouse of a veteran, it is going to be an out-of-pocket cost to be in a personal care environment. Yeah, spouse of a veteran too. So if that's you, look into it. Even if you don't need it today, it's always good to do your homework. So if you ever do, you know what's going on. So these type of environments offer a private apartment space, a private living space, but they have communal dining rooms, activity rooms, fitness centers, transportation services. They're going to include meals, housekeeping, laundry, activities, utilities, transportation. But then if you need help with bathing or dressing or monitoring your medications, maybe you've got a little memory loss, you need some reminders, or hey, it's time for the activity of the afternoon, someone comes and reminds you. This is what these environments are for. So another option is in-home care. How many of you know somebody that had a caregiver come in their home? Lots of you. This is becoming a very, very popular thing. We do love our homes, and leaving them isn't easy. And having somebody come into the home, if it's financially affordable for you, is certainly the way to go for some people. And there's lots of care agencies in our area. And again, Active Aging has lists of all these different opportunities if you have questions about the who. I'm not going to go through the list because there's many, many, many in-home care providers in our area. Some of them that come to mind are Interim, Family to Family. Wesbury has Help at Home with Wesbury. Family to Family is now part of Wesbury. But there are lots of different in-home care providers in our region. And they'll do things like take you to appointments, clean your house, do your laundry. Some of them provide some nursing care if you need help with bathing or dressing or things like that. You have to talk to the agency that you're calling, identify what your needs are, and see what their services are, and see if it's a fit. Wesbury has a very broad list of services. We do handyman work. We help with getting your pet to the vet. We'll come into your home and cook and clean and do laundry. We'll take you out to appointments. And they do have some nursing services as well. And then we partner with the visiting nurses also. So if you need visiting nurses in your home, we can help connect you there as well. So in-home care can be a really great thing. All of these options have pros and cons. In-home care's upside is your home, it's personalized, you get to be where you want to be. The downside is you want to make sure that your agency can fulfill your needs regularly. And what if that person calls off or gets sick? And you also have to weigh the cost, because you're going to be paying somebody maybe roughly $20 an hour to be in your home, but you're still going to buy groceries, you're still going to need to pay for your taxes and your maintenance on your home. You're still going to have someone come and maintenance your home. So, managing all that can be difficult. But they can work very well for some people in home support, and we're happy to provide that service in our region as well. So Thankfully, moving, though, is not all about needing care, right? Sometimes you just say, I don't need this big old house anymore that I bought to raise my children in. You know, you buy your dream home in your 20s or 30s, and it is what you were looking for then, but it isn't always what you need now. So have any of you decided to downsize from that home that you raised your kids in? What were some of the reasons? Anyone want to shout out a reason that they think they might change their environment or have changed their environment? No? I'll give you some.
Too much maintenance.
Too much maintenance is a big one. Yep, that's a big one. Anybody?
I can ask a question. Why isn't Parkside Commons on this list?
I'll come to that in a few minutes for you. Don't let me forget, okay? Okay. So sometimes it's because you don't want to take care of a house anymore. Maybe you want to travel. Maybe you want to golf. Maybe you want to spend your time with your grandkids. Sometimes you're just trying to make it smaller, reduce the household chores, reduce the maintenance. Sometimes it's a health change. You know, maybe you've lost your spouse. Maybe your income's lower now. Maybe you need something less expensive. Maybe you want to be closer to amenities or social opportunities, like coming here. You know, someone that lives way out in the country, they thankfully have CATA available to them. But some folks want to be able to walk to the grocery store, or they want to be able to easily get to different opportunities to socialize. Some people are just planning ahead. They know that the house they live in isn't going to work if their health changes. So here's some things to consider if you make that choice at some point, that you think you need to downsize or want to downsize. And we're going to talk about this list that I handed out. So one option, of course, is just to go to a smaller home. Does that solve everything? You don't think so? A smaller home can solve a lot. It's less for you, you know. It's less cost, less work, less cleaning. However, maybe less taxes, maybe a lesser price. But it's still your problem, isn't it? So downsizing to a smaller home doesn't really solve everything for very long. You usually reach a point where you've either got to find some really good, reliable maintenance and in-home care, or you end up moving out. Another option is a condo. Anybody here in a condo? No? Okay. Condos are a great way to get away from lawn care, away from plowing and shoveling snow, away from exterior maintenance. But they don't solve the interior maintenance issue. Usually with a condo, you are responsible for the drywall in, which means that anything that happens within your drywall, within your house, is still your problem. So you still have to find somebody to help you in these needs. And these are also great options, and we have some nice ones in our area. If you look at your chart, on the second page, there's condos. And condos are usually for purchase. So you buy them, and when you no longer wish to live there, you have the responsibility of selling them. But we have Forest Hills, we have Limber Creek. There is on Center Street a nice condo environment, and I'm not sure what it's called. And then there's the Kepler Hotel in our area. These are all opportunities that you purchase them, and they're going to have quite a bit of things included, but you're still going to have some things that you're responsible for on your own. And if you can no longer live in that environment, you're going to have the responsibility of selling it, which can be burdensome, just like a house that you'd have to sell. Can be burdensome if your health is changing. And there's quite a range of options. The Kepler Hotel is very reasonable in terms of upfront costs. They're somewhere around $48,000. And you can get upwards to condos that are over $200,000 if you look at the chart I've provided you. Usually with a condo, there is a monthly maintenance fee. It's usually in a few $100s a month, and this is to pay for all the things that are nice about your environment around you, to keep things nice and to keep your services going. Then we also have area apartment complexes. So this gets into the nitty-gritty of what's Wesbury doing with the Days Inn, what's happening out in Conneaut Lake, what might happen in Cochranton, etc. So again, on your second page are the coming soon apartments. But on your first page, let's start there. Sorry to make you jump around. Let's start on your first page. These are all of the houses that have some, these are many of, these are not all of, the places that have some subsidy in our area. So subsidized housing, I know enough to be dangerous here, but it is based on your income. So if you are lower income, if you find it difficult to make ends meet, you may want to look at the subsidized housing options in our area. And there are more than I've listed. I listed what's close to Meadville since we are here in Meadville talking today. In Cambridge Springs, there's Bartlett Gardens. There is PAL Fund housing out in Linesville. I know that there is a Conneautville, a Franklin, and a Titusville housing that is all income-based. But right here in Meadville, we have Holland Towers, we have Brookside Apartments, we have Shyrock Apartments. These are all subsidized or based on your income. Now, there's also Parkside Commons. I didn't list Parkside Commons because it's not just for seniors, but we do have Parkside Commons, and that's another option where you have to fall within certain financial parameters to live there, and it can be a nice choice for seniors, but it isn't all seniors. The ones that I have listed on the sheet are for all seniors. Out at Conneaut Lake, there is Evans Square. Have any of you heard about this? This is brand new. I have not driven out yet. I understand that they're having a ribbon cutting and then an open house in the next few weeks. So if you're interested in that, and I want you to be interested in Wesbury, of course, but we're talking about everything that's out there today. If you're interested in that, it looks like a beautiful opportunity for folks, and it is. They do base things on where you're at financially, and the prices vary a little bit depending on where you're at financially. My understanding is you don't have to be low income to live at these places, but your cost would be higher if you weren't, okay? And the experts who run these can talk to you in more depth about it. My job today is just to touch on what's out there so that you understand. So if you are not in a situation where you might qualify for subsidized housing or your income-based housing, we also have non-subsidized options in our area. Hunter's Ridge is a beautiful option in our area. They have 1 and 2 bedroom apartments. The upside and downside to all of these places, you really have to do your homework and call and ask questions. And I was hoping that this sheet, if you were in that place, would help you ask about things like, what's my parking look like? How am I going to do laundry? Is there any community space? Is there going to be any socialization? Am I going to have other people to talk to and interact with? Is there a place we can get together to play cards or to do whatever it is we love to do? So these are things that are important to us, particularly as seniors. You want socialization, most folks. You want services and amenities. And so the reason that new things are coming to Meadville is, although we have some lovely options, we have Golfview, we have Imperial Gardens. Golfview and Imperial Gardens are both very nice, they're very well run, but they have steps going in and out. That may not work for you. So we have opportunities coming to our area, and it's why Wesbury said we should buy the Days Inn. We looked at the Days Inn and recognized, okay, it's already set up in a way that can be easily converted to apartments. It has a pool, it has a lot of amenity space. We can make sure there's socialization opportunities for the folks that would want to live here. They're not going to just be in an apartment building and no longer have maintenance, but they're going to also have the opportunity to socialize, to utilize a pool, to utilize a fitness center, to do things to stay active and engaged. So it's a little more than just an apartment building. There won't be any stairs that you can't manage. There's going to be elevators. Some places do have covered parking. We are not certain at this time whether we will at the Days Inn. Certainly everybody will have their own parking spaces. Most of the places I found have shared laundry. So, you know, you do have to get your laundry basket down a hall maybe to a laundry room in the apartments in our area. However, the senior-focused places are making those convenient. They're providing things like, you know, carts that you can take your stuff back and forth on. So everybody is looking at our area and saying, wow, we have lots of options, but we have good subsidy options, but for non-subsidized, we really were lacking places that had socialization opportunity that did not have stairs. So that's what Wesbury is thinking as they look to the Days Inn. And this is going to be for the folks that aren't high income and maybe couldn't afford some of the more expensive options in the area, but it's also not focused on people who are low income. It's right there in the middle where sometimes people feel like they get a little bit forgotten. Excuse me, I got a tickle. So that is the intention there. And then Calamar Apartments is also looking to come to our region. That's the one that's being built. If you go up Chestnut Street a ways, you might have seen some new construction happening there. And their intention too is to build senior-friendly apartment living with some activity space. It is the old Talon building, I believe. I'm thinking as you go up, it's on the right-hand side. Am I in the right? Yes. Yeah. It's the old Talon building. Okay. Thank you for clearing that up. Excuse me. I got a tickle here. Okay. So that is something that is supposed to happen. I know they've cleared the site and they've started working. I don't know when you'll start to hear information, but I know that you can go on their website and look at what they do. And then there was also the possibility that there was going to be housing in Cochranton. Have any of you heard that? It's the same company that is building out in Conneaut Lake, and that company is called Hudson Company. And Hudson Company is building, it is income-based housing, both in Conneaut Lake, and they hope to do it in Cochranton, but they have grants and things they have to qualify for. And my understanding is that at this time, they did not get the grant for this year, so it won't be happening this year. I don't know what the outlook is beyond this year. My understanding is they keep applying until it works out. But if you have questions about that, the Hudson Company is who's running the Conneaut Lake project, and you can call out there. What questions do you have about all this? Anything come to mind?
I want to know why you haven't covered Parkside Commons at the old high school, because there are a lot of us that are in apartments there.
You live at Parkside Commons?
But you've got a one-bedroom apartment, 1, 2, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there are a lot of us seniors that live
There
in
are.
a lot of apartments.
The only reason I didn't list them today is because they're not all senior.
That's true.
Yeah, but you're right. Parkside Commons is a nice choice in our area, and there are income parameters. So you can make too much money to live at Parkside Commons, and you can make too little money to live at Parkside Commons. They have a nice range of an income requirement, and you need to call them to understand that. But that's the old high school on the Diamond Park. And yes, that is a nice option for seniors too.
It's a convenient place too.
Very convenient. Yeah, you can walk to the library, and there's a little convenience store near. Yeah. Other questions about what's happening in the area?
So Days Inn is the hotel.
Days Inn is the
I
hotel.
was thinking hotel.
Yeah.
When you said elevator, I think hotel wouldn't need an elevator.
Right. Yeah, it's a hotel. 2 stories, I think. Yeah, Days Inn is 2 stories. How many of you have been there in the past? There used to be functions there a lot years and years ago. Yeah. Now, and unfortunately over time it started to decline. We're really happy to have purchased it. We really see great potential there, and we think that we can offer something that the region needs there. There's definitely a need for senior housing that is affordable, but not necessarily low income. That's sort of an underserved population in our area. And so we're trying to fill that need. Wesbury's mission and vision is to meet the needs of the seniors in our region and to care for people, whether you're retired or whether you're in end-of-life care. We try to run the gamut of what we do to provide for seniors in our region. So we saw that as a need, and we saw the opportunity to be able to renovate that building affordably as opposed to building from new. There's a lot less, I guess the term is red tape, to accomplish that, and there's a lot less cost because the infrastructure is there. We certainly have a lot of renovation to do. I can promise you that when we're done, that building's going to be beautiful. Right now you drive by and you think, what are they thinking? But I have seen some awesome architectural sketches, and it will totally transform the look of that building. I've had people say to me, well, it's not going to be all concrete around, is it? No, we're going to soften everything. It's going to feel residential. There's going to be some grass. It's going to be beautiful when it's done. So I encourage you to keep your eyes open on that. If any of the things that are coming to our region interest you, I encourage you, call me if it's for the Days Inn or for Wesbury. Call the Hudson Company if it's for the Conneaut Lake or the Cochranton. I know you can go online and look at what Calamar is doing, but you want to plan ahead. Even if you're not ready, call and get your name on a list so that when information becomes available, you're informed. If you're still not ready at that time, that's just fine. But if you happen to be ready, you're going to have your foot in the door. And that's very, very important. People don't realize that when they suddenly want or need something, it may not be available. And I see that a great deal. So, other questions? Anybody how about ideas? Anybody have anything they think we better make sure we do with the days in? That's always a loaded question. Okay. My boss will be glad to hear that you didn't give me a long list. Well, thanks for having me out today. I hope that was helpful. I find that there's so much around, and that's a great thing for us today to have so many choices. But it also can be a little overwhelming understanding what is appropriate and to whom and when.
There is going to be a laundry accessible there?
There will be laundry, yes. We're thinking that there'll be laundry rooms, and we're hoping that they'll be conveniently, it'll all depend on cost, but we're trying to make sure they're conveniently placed and so that there's not, a long distance for one person to have to go to get to a laundry facility. We want to make it convenient. But our goal also, when we think about what we want in life, we can all come up with a huge, beautiful list, right? But when somebody starts telling us what that costs, our list starts to, oh, wait, I don't think I really need the, the gold-plated door knocker. So I think that as we build, we're going to look at what do we want, what's the ideal, and then what can we do to make sure that it remains affordable. We have a goal to keep. Our goal is to make that affordable for the seniors of our region. So, anything else? Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it very much, and have a great day.
Thank you.